Good afternoon, everyone. Sheila here in Boho Daydreams, and welcome to my channel. Wow, we are really getting closer to Christmas, and I can feel it. And I hope that you're all feeling the spirit of joy as we go into this beautiful season. I'm going to pop up my information so I don't forget that. Sheila Genrich, scoghill4@gmail.com. Facebook group is Boho Daydreams. I'm going to link all of that in the description box. And I just want to mention right now that if you are joining us in our Facebook group, Boho Daydreams, please make sure you answer the questions, because from time to time we have scammers and spammers and even people that aren't people try to join. So by answering the questions, we can ensure at least that there is a human on the other end of that Facebook profile. Anyway, please forgive the condition of my hands, because not only is there paint, but there's also glue, super glue, all over my hands that I can't get off because I was working on this. This is a focal point for my next journal. And I glued that and my fingers together. I glued my fingers together and then I glued that to my thumb. And so now I have remnants of glue on top of the paint. Anyway, what we're here for is we're going to make one of these bookmarkers. And you can make them, this one's made of velvet, but you can make them out of velvet, or you can make them out of the velvet ribbon like this. And I'm going to be making one of these out of the velvet because it's a little more challenging, and I've learned a lot of things making as many as I have here in the last few days. So there are some things you can avoid if you watch the video, but they're a lot of fun to make. And I'm going to link all of the pieces that I can find that I used in the description box. All right, so let's go through a supply list of the things that you're going to need. Because there is beading involved, oops, you will need your tools. You always need your tools. So you need your wire cutters, you need your needle-nosed, round-nosed pliers, and then you're going to need your flat needle nose pliers. So these are always staples, and I love this one because this one here is very, well, I broke this one and I have another one somewhere I cleaned up and I can't find it, but this one here is so easy on the hands. And generally, I broke the leaf spring right there, but generally it will open up like this. So it's so nice. And these ones too. I have a different one that I link in the description box that I love just as much as I love this one. So you'll need your tools. You'll need some wire, and either gold or silver, depending what you want. So you can use either. And this is the artistic wire. I love, love, love this. And it comes in smaller rolls too. But it is the 20 gauge wire. And I love this one here because it sparkles. The quality is better than what I normally find in silver wire. And then also this wire from Bead Smith. And this is also the 20 gauge wire. And we're going to be using gold today. I'm going to be doing it in gold. So that's the wire. And then you'll just need some components. Oh yes, you'll also, these are a little bit of a mess here. So you're going to need some bicones, and I love these ones. These, I think, are 8mm bicones, so we're going to need some of that. We are going to need bead caps, and you can use any kind of bead caps that you want. And the one on the this here is a larger bead cap. But you can use any bead cap that you want. It does not matter. So I just grabbed a whole bunch of bead caps that I have. And now, when you're buying bead caps, make sure you don't get bead caps like this, because there's no hole through the top. And I didn't realize that when I bought these. So I'm going to need to drill that out. So I'm going to need to cut that off and drill that out if it's possible. Otherwise, I'll have to figure something else out. So we're going to test some of these. You will need some crystals. You'll need some crystals. These are for the end. And then you'll also need a couple of the head pins with the round little ball on the end. Those are the ones I like to use for this. Little gold beads or silver beads, it doesn't matter, whatever color you're using, you'll need those. I don't know, we may or may not need some of these daisy spacer beads. We might, so I have them out. We will need these end clips. So we're going to need those, and they come in large packages of all the different colors. So we need those. We'll need 2 of those. They also come in the smaller version, and I like to use the smaller version for the thinner velvet ribbon. So that's why I have them. Let me see, what else do we need? Okay, I had to run and grab something. So you're going to need your rondelles. If you know, I'm going to need them because I'm going to use them. And you're going to be able to put these together however you like to put them together. This is just what I'm going to use. And also your little jump rings. You will need the fabric that you're going to be making your bookmark out of. And because you're not going to need a lot of fabric, because these things are about 1 inch. So that much. So it's going to be folded in half. So you'll need about that much doubled. So you'll need that. And then you'll need a scissors. You'll need a scissors. You will also need a cutting mat. And if you are using steam-a-seam like this, the steam-a-seam, let me just get the box and show you, because I use this stuff. Let's see, there, steam-a-seam. I'm going to link all of that in the description box. This is a huge roll, and it is sold in smaller pieces, and because of the camera being set up the way it's set up, makes it very difficult to show you the box. All right, and you're going to, if you're using the steam-a-seam, you're going to need an iron. You're going to need to iron it. And you're also going to need a ruler or something to cut it straight, because we're going to need to cut it at once we've got it all ironed up together. So let's just get this out. All right, I had to clean the table off because I need some space. So I have already steamed this, so it is good to go. So I'm going to turn it over like that. And I want to measure, I'm going to use one of these clips, my steam-a-seam. I'm going to want to measure it to make sure that it's wide enough. And it's okay to be a little wider because we're going to need to cut off to make the edges straight. So I am going to cut it just a little over, and I can't do that on camera because I'm just not that awesome. So let's just cut it. Because I want to make sure that I have enough to trim it up to make the edges nice and straight. All right, so let's measure it. Yeah, I got lots of extra. So what you're going to need to do is peel it. Peel this off. And it is a sticky mesh, as you can see. See the glue over there? So it's just a sticky mesh. So you get rid of the one side, and you're going to lay it. I like to lay it a little bit over like that. And now with the steam-a-seam, I was ironing it and ironing it so it's nice and adhered to this fabric. But what I found is that I was losing glue to the top piece here. So I don't iron it until I have it, until I have it sandwiched. So then you have to be really careful. And I am sorry about the nails, the hands, the everything. Oh my goodness. So there we go. And you don't need the extra piece here. So I'm just going to cut that off. Because if I iron that to my ironing mat, oh my goodness, that's a problem. Just ask me because I've done it. Okay, so now I'm going to take and fold it over like this. Press it out nice and flat. Now I need to go and press it. And when you're ironing it, you're going to iron. You can use your iron, but make sure it's on silk mode or whatever your fabric is, because this is a silk velvet. I'm going to have it on a gentle ironing setting, and I'm going to have a pressing cloth over it so I don't damage the velvet. So I'm going to go and do that, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I went and pressed it, and I made sure that the glue is attached quite well, and it is on both sides. So I ironed it from both sides gently with the pressing cloth because you don't want to crush the velvet. And as I was coming back, I remembered I had forgotten to add these, or whatever large focal dangle that you want to use, you'll use that. But I want to use one of these crystals. They are just so beautiful. All right, so first thing I want to do, this end looks really, really good. I want to trim up this end here because it wasn't even. So I'm just going to cut this off right here like that, right to begin with. So I'm not dealing with the sticky glue mess of that little piece over there. All right, so now, well, it doesn't look very even, does it? It doesn't look like I really trimmed that up very well, does it? So, because I cannot find my ruler, and it depends on what kind of fabric you're using, I am going to use, I'm just going to cut with the quilting ruler. I'm going to take and just cut this, except I'm not left-handed, and oh my goodness sakes. All right, and I don't have a lot of room here. Am I still in camera? Yes. All right, so we're just going to lay that down. Velvet's kind of tricky. Velvet's kind of tricky because it wants to move. It's a little bit fluid, you know. It wants to move. And my cutting device here isn't all that sharp, so it could be a little interesting here. Plus, it's making things a little bit wiggly. All right, so that's good. That's really good. Ah! See? Not enough room. That was the scissors. Good thing I don't need that right now. Okay, so I want to use, do I even have the color I want to use? I was thinking I wanted to use that. Do I have two of them out? Absolutely I don't, but I will need a second one, so let me just quickly grab that. Hoping I even have a second one. Oh, yes, I do. All right. As prepared as I feel like I was, I still forgot a few things. It's never as easy doing a tutorial on YouTube. It's never really all that easy. And sometimes I'll hear like, you're not in focus, you're not this, you're not that, you know, until you've actually done it yourself, you don't realize how hard it is to constantly be in camera view or to not be obstructing the camera's view. So now I want to kind of eyeball this. Is that quite, it's not quite an inch, so I want it like that. So, all right. And this here is just practice for your skills. Let's see, how big is this? So it's about an inch. So let's put that right there so we can cut an inch. And it's kind of tough because I don't have the big mat, because I don't have the room here with my camera. So that's an inch. And it's okay to be off just a little bit. But it is kind of really a challenge with velvet. So let's make sure I have. Yeah, it looks okay. Looks okay. Wow. It's a little on the dull side. I have cut all sorts of textiles with this, including the rhinestone textiles. And so it's not very sharp anymore. And then the last little bit here, hopefully it can be all even. It'll be much easier for you because you're going to have a proper space to actually do this. And you won't have to do it in 2 cuts, but I'm just doing a quick little tutorial here. So this is how it's done. All right, so we got rid of that. Good. Close up your safety. Okie dokie. So now we're done. And now you're going to inspect it to make sure it's nicely closed up, and it is. Because if it isn't, then you need to go and re-iron it. So I dropped my scissors. I want to cut the ends off just a little bit. I want to trim this end up here. There. All right. So now, let's see. Oh, it's almost perfect. And that's okay. If it's just like a millimeter over, I don't worry about that at all. Now I need this. This is the one that you need because you're going to line these pieces up the best as you can. And you're going to crimp it like that. If that little bit bothers you, you can always go back and trim that up later. Let's see how straight I cut because it may be off on this end. Nope. Do you know what? It's actually really good. Turn it around. I want this end to be flush. The folded end, oops. The folded end that we folded over, that's the side you don't want to. If you're going to trim any side, that's not the side you want to trim. Whoops. See, even after you've crimped it just a little bit, you can always go back. Get it in there tight, like that. And it is just a little bit over, and I'm going to trim that up later. I'm not trimming that up on camera because that's a nightmare. All right, so now we're going to pop this off to the side, and now we're going to take the crystal ball. You're going to grab a piece of wire, and I like to take about 4 inches. So if you're not really very confident with your skills, take a little extra. Just take a little bit extra because you can always snip the extra off. You just can't add to it. So I have, it's about 3 3/4 inches. I take and I put it through this like that, and I bend it up. Like that. And this I just do by hand. And I just twist it a couple of times. And then I cut that extra piece off. And so it's going to look like this. And now you're going to find the bead cap that you like the most with whatever color wire you're using. I like to use the bead caps that flare because I like it to kind of grab the little ball. This one's really pretty too. Some of these are just too big. This one's really pretty. That one's really pretty. See the way it flares? It's not too high, and it just flares and kind of wraps itself around that ball. I like that. I really like that. And this one is a little high, but you could make it flare out if you just kind of like cut a little bit into the sides and just flared them out. That would work. Now, if you were using these as charms for sun catcher or something like that, this would be okay. This looks really nice. But I like this one here. And I like it because it does grab the sphere nicely. And then I can add just a little bit on top, and it just kind of elongates it. So what I do now is, because the wire is so loose inside, I usually grab one of these beads, and I've used them all up in the gold, or I would grab a gold one, but I grab a silver bead because it's the one that fits. Nope, not that one. That's not the one that fits. There's a smaller one in here. Need to make sure I'm on camera. And it fits into that little recess there, and it holds the wire nice and tight. So now I want to add one of these. And I like to add one that will sit right on top of the ball. And if you take a look at the inside of these rondelles, one is more recessed than the other side. And so if you kind of play with it a little bit, you're going to figure out which side is recessed. I want one in gold though. That one is a bit big. That one's good. That one's really good. But I think maybe I've got it in there backwards. Yeah, I did. No, I did not. Yep, it's the same either way. And then I grab one of my crystals, slide it on. And now this is going to be a challenge for me because I'm going to try and do this on camera, but it's never easy because trying to feed one of these beads onto this wire is kind of a challenge. All right, because I need to see what I'm doing. Make sure I'm still in frame. I am. All right, and that's it. And now we want to tie it off. I have a lot of videos for making loops. And with this one here, I like to make the loop a little bit bigger. So I go a little bit higher in the on my needle, the rounded needle nose pliers. And I bring the loop towards me. And then I have to change hands. And now I'm bringing the wire towards me. And then I just take this, because we're not making jewelry here. It's not that, there's not a lot of finesse in this. And I just wrap it tight as I can, so it's not wobbly. And there you go. Now you have your dangle, and I cut off that little piece of wire, and there we go. Now we can go on to the charms. And these are just, let's just pick out a couple. We can put 2 or 3 on. Maybe we'll do 3. So how about we pick the round one, the little heart, and this one right here. And so this is where we may or may not be using these. And I say, yes, we'll use them, because I like a little bit of gold at the bottom. And for this, I don't use much of anything else. I will just add like that. I just want to keep it a little bit simple. And so we're going to make our charms. Same thing. So easy when you're using these head pins. So easy. So you're going to make your 3 charms like that. And you can make your charms however you want. It doesn't matter. You can make them with lampwork beads. You can make them with just regular beads. But I like to use the crystal beads because I love those crystal balls. I love them to sparkle. And I am going to link everything that I use here in the description box. And I'm going to use one of these on top. You know, I went and scrubbed my hands, and I scrubbed them again. And, you know, I just couldn't get all the paint off. And then I was gluing, and then there's the black paint on those frames. And then the glue with the black paint, it kind of stuck to my fingers when I pulled off it off my hands, it left the paint behind too. All right, so I'm going to clean this up, and then we're going to come back and put it together. Okie dokie. Well, let's get that out of the way. So, what I didn't mention is the size of this bead cap that I'm using. It's 12 millimeters by, I think, 8 millimeters. So that kind of gives you an idea of the size. So 12 millimeters tall by about 8 or so millimeters wide. And I just like it that it has that nice flare to it. All right, so now what we need is 2 jump rings. Open up your jump ring. And this is basically self-explanatory. Close it up. And this one. And how I open them is I just take like that. Just open them. And for this, I want to, I don't think it really matters, but this is how I do it. I put one on, and then I put the other 2, put it in, and then I put the other 2 on, and then I close it up. It makes it easier for me to handle. Not that it makes any difference this way, but it just makes it easier to handle so that it's not as clumsy for me. So that's it. There you go. That is a bookmark. And I am going to link all of the bits and pieces in the description box. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me. These make wonderful gifts. These are wonderful to use in, for Bible reading, for Bible markers and whatnot. Just beautiful. Oops, I need to cut that off. I did trim it up a little bit, and what it was just a little bit of fuzz that was hanging off the edges, and so I just trimmed that back a little bit. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.